Opening scene, visual. A bustling city courthouse. Camera pans to Karoline Leavitt, a confident young woman in her late 20s, walking up the steps with a determined look. Her long chestnut hair flows in the breeze. Karoline Leavitt was no stranger to the spotlight. A rising political commentator and former congressional candidate. She was known for her sharp wit and unyielding principles. But nothing could have prepared her for the bizarre turn her life was about to take in the summer of 2025. In a small conservative town, Karoline had been called to court following a contentious public argument with Judge Harlan Voss, a local politician. The case was trivial, a defamation lawsuit sparked by Karoline's fiery op accusing Voss of corruption in the town's zoning board. She called him out for allegedly favoring his cronies in lucrative land deals. Voss, a man with a reputation for holding grudges, didn't take kindly to being challenged. Visual. Flashback to Karoline typing furiously at her laptop, publishing the article. Cut to Voss, a stern man in his 60s with a slick comb-over, reading it and slamming his fist on his desk. What should have been a straightforward legal battle spiraled into something far stranger and far more personal. Act 1. The shocking ruling. Visual. Inside the courtroom, Karoline sits at the defendant's table, her lawyer whispering nervously. The gallery is packed with townsfolk, some whispering, others glaring. The trial began like any other. Karoline's lawyer argued that her article was protected free speech, backed by public records showing questionable land deals. Voss, presiding over the case himself, despite calls for recusal, seemed to seethe with every word from Karoline's side. His gavel struck like a thunderclap, silencing the room. On the third day, after a particularly heated exchange where Karoline refused to apologize, Voss leaned forward, his eyes glinting with malice. "Miss Leavitt," he said, "you've disrespected this court, this town, and the rule of law. Your words are a poison, and poison must be purged." The room fell silent. Karoline's lawyer objected, but Voss waved him off. As a symbolic gesture of your penance, Voss declared, you will submit to a public act of humility. This court orders your head shaved here, now, in this courtroom. Visual gasps from the gallery. Karoline's face freezes in disbelief. Her lawyer leaps to his feet, shouting about constitutional rights. The ruling was unheard of, a grotesque overreach of power. Karoline's mind raced. This wasn't just about humiliating hurt. Was Voss flexing his control, a warning to anyone who dared challenge him? She could refuse, but Voss had already signaled that defiance would mean jail time, potentially derailing her career. With cameras rolling, local media had been tipped off. Karoline made a split-second decision. She stood, chin high, and said, "Do it. But know this. You'll regret this moment, Judge." Visual. A bailiff wheels in a barber's chair. A local stylist, visibly uncomfortable, steps forward with clippers. Karoline sits, staring straight at Voss as the first locks of her hair fall to the floor. The courtroom was a mix of stunned silence and stifled sobs from Karoline's supporters. Social media exploded as clips of the shaving went viral. #JusticeForKaroline trended within hours. But for Karoline, this was no longer about the lawsuit. It was personal. Act R. The fire within. Visual. Karoline, now bald, walks out of the courthouse, paparazzi snapping photos. She pulls a scarf over her head, but keeps her posture defiant. The next few days were a blur. Karoline retreated to her apartment, avoiding the flood of interview requests. She stared at her reflection, running her hand over her scalp. The humiliation stung, but it also lit a fire in her. Voss thought he'd broken her. He was wrong. Karoline began digging deeper into Voss's past. She reached out to old contacts, journalists, whistleblowers, even a retired clerk who'd worked under Voss decades ago. What she uncovered was staggering, a pattern of abuse stretching back years. Voss had bullied defendants, coerced plea deals, and allegedly taken bribes to sway rulings. The zoning board scandal was just the tip of the iceberg. Visual montage of Karoline at her desk, surrounded by files and laptops, making late-night calls. She uncovers a grainy photo of Voss shaking hands with a known developer at a shady fundraiser. But exposing Voss wasn't enough. Karoline wanted justice, legal, public, undeniable. She needed to take him down in his own arena, the courtroom. She consulted her lawyer, who was already preparing an appeal against Voss's ruling. But Karoline had a bolder plan. File a federal complaint, she said. Abuse of power, violation of civil rights, and I want to testify publicly. Her lawyer hesitated. This could backfire. Karoline, us, has the town in his pocket. Karoline was resolute. He shaved my head to silence me. Let's see how he handles me speaking. Act 3. The Counterstrike. Visual. A federal courthouse, grander than the local one. Karoline, now with a short, stylish buzzcut, strides in, flanked by her legal team. Reporters swarm outside. The federal hearing was a media circus. Karoline's story had captured the nation's attention, with activists and influencers rallying behind her. The hashtag #ShaveTheCorruption trended alongside hashtag Justice for Karoline. Voss, summoned to defend his actions, looked smaller in the federal courtroom, his usual bravado faltering. Karoline took the stand, her voice steady but laced with controlled fury. She recounted the shaving, the humiliation, and Voss's history of intimidation. She presented evidence documents, witness statements, even a recording from a former bailiff who admitted Voss had pressured him to teach Karoline a lesson. Visual, flashback to the bailiff's testimony, nervously glancing at Voss. Cut to Karoline holding up a photo of the zoning board's shady contracts. The courtroom hung on her every word. When she finished, she looked directly at Voss. "You thought you could break me," she said. "But all you did was give me a platform." The judge, a known-sense woman from out of state, didn't mince words. She called Voss's actions a grotesque abuse of judicial power and ordered an investigation into his entire tenure. Voss was suspended pending the outcome, his reputation in tatters. Visual, Voss storms out, shielding his face from cameras. Karoline exits to cheers from supporters, her scarf now a bold accessory rather than a shield. Epilogue. A new chapter. Visual, Karoline at a podium, speaking at a rally. Her hair is growing back, styled confidently. The crowd chants her name. Karoline's victory wasn't just personal, it sparked a movement. Investigations into Voss uncovered a web of corruption, leading to multiple indictments. The town's zoning board was overhauled, and Karoline's original article was vindicated. She channeled her experience into a new mission, advocating for judicial reform. Her YouTube channel grew, with millions tuning in to hear her story and her calls for accountability. The scarf she'd worn became a symbol of resilience, with supporters donning similar ones at rallies. As for Karoline, she never forgot the sting of that courtroom chair. But she also never forgot the fire it ignited. "They tried to shave away my voice," she told her followers in a viral video. "But all they did was make it louder."